This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com. Hello everybody, since there was no painting class, we're just going to go over a couple things doing Project Elite. We want to get that ready so we can do it after Gen Con online, because I don't want to conflict with it, and number one, everybody's watching Gen Con. They're not going to watch me play Project Elite. But we got this all pretty much painted up. I kind of show you some ways to use some contrast paints to do it quickly. So let's go down to the table. So the first thing I wanted to do was really take a look at this. I mean, you could just slop stuff on here and make it look sloppy, but how do you bring out the best of this? They have this pinkish, this reddish tone, but they also have like this very light brownish tone. Like this dude here, he's almost kind of, you know, ooky, if that's a word. So I decided to take out some Flesh Tear's red in contrast, along with some Gilman Flesh, and try to do a combo with it. So we'll see how that works, and really just try to get the base on here, and then kind of start working with them a little bit, and really try to bring out as much as you can of these guys, because these guys are really, if you do them right, they're really going to make a big difference in how you play the game. So let's try it out, and we'll see where we go. Well, I started with the red, and this is the first one I did, and I just stopped. I didn't like it at all. So the Flesh Terror red is just too red. Now I can lighten it. You know, I can lighten it, but I wasn't feeling it right off the bat. So I'm thinking now to go over with some of this flesh and see what that does. So maybe I'm on the right track. I'm just not seeing it enough. So I'm going to keep going here. Now, the one thing that I learned here is with the straight Gulliman's Flesh, it looks great right in there. And blending it with that red a little bit isn't that bad. It's actually kind of interesting in a way. So I'm wondering if I just kind of go with a red streak over the top and then dry brush over it once it dries. I think I'm onto something here, which will make these guys a little bit different. So I'm going to try another one, and we're going to see where we go with this. So here's what I'm ending up with, and I really kind of like it. It's very, very different. It has this very strong red strip, but then all of a sudden it comes down into this like lighter brown tone that really seems to be working, and it's kind of a blend in a way. So it makes the runners extremely different, because I don't want everything to kind of look together. So let me show you how I went about doing this. And you could try it, or maybe try a combination of something different. What I did, or what I do, is I take a little bit of this Flesh Terror red, and I'm going to get that, and I'm going to get two of my guys, and all I'm going to do is just kind of go right down the top. All right, that's all I want to do. You see what I'm doing here? All right, because these are aliens. I mean, they're not gonna really care. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I want to get that in there, and I want it to be wet, because I want it to kind of blend it more or less. All right, so clear off my brush a little bit, because it's going to take me a little bit to do this. I'll close this up, and then I'm going to come with the Gulliman Flesh. Shake that up real good. And then I'm going to take my other brush, so I'm not contaminating too much, and just kind of work over both of them. Kind of work them into each other a little bit. And believe it or not, I really like what I'm seeing, and I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, how it starts out this very deep, kind of rich red, and then it kind of blends together, and then all of a sudden it lightens up on the bottom, like around the jaw and the legs and the undercarriage here, which I'm trying to show you how I'm doing this. And I really like the result that I'm getting, because it really makes them very, very different and unique and weird. And after all, we like weird, don't we? Especially when it's aliens. So this is a nice, quick, easy way to kind of get their bodies the way you want to do it. And then we'll do a little bit of detailing, not too much, and then boom, we're off and running, folks. We're off and running. So you see, I got that really weird two-tone here. So you kind of, and it kind of blends in here. And you got to watch, because sometimes these contrasts retract off certain primers. So I want to make sure that I get every inch here so I'm not going back later. Now with the biters, I wanted to do something different, because I see this, this scheme all the time. So I wanted to go outside the box. I wanted them to be different from my runners. And I didn't want them to get like color, you just see this mass on the thing. I wanted you to know that the biters were coming. So I wanted to make sure that their flesh was really different. So I did this. All right. And for some reason, I really like this a lot. It's a yellow, tingy, pukey type of color that really just sits out there a bit. All right, and I'm going to show you what the color is, but I want you to see how well this goes over the white primer and really just gets in. These contrast paints are just fantastic in what they can do. They really get in the recesses very nicely, and they cover very, very, very well. As you can see, his backbone there, which we'll dry brush out, because we do want to give them a little bit more dimension than to just be pukey yellow. And there you go. Look at that. That's just strange, and I like that for the body. And what I used is a contrast called Nasdrig Yellow, and it really works perfectly. Get yourself a good white primer on there, and then go to town. So next was these shooters, okay, and I wanted them a little bit different. A little bit different from our biters. As you can see, our biters are this yellowish, but I wanted to go with a skeleton horde. And what I wanted to do was really just get this in here and really just work this in. And as you can see, it gives me more of a brown, because it's going to mesh better with the lead belcher that I'm going to use, or the plate metal that I'm going to use for this gun. And I really wanted them to be similar but different, and to strain the species, as they say. But ultimately, this is what I come up with. So this is the initial coat, and like I said, I'm not worried about getting it on their guns. I just want to make sure that I cover all that flesh part, and then we'll come back and we'll work on these guns, and then we'll do some other things that'll really highlight and make this thing probably as disgusting and creepy as we possibly can. So I'm going to finish the rest of these, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look. Next thing I want to do was take a shade, Crimson Carisberg Crimson, and all I want to do with this is just very lightly and not too heavily, just go right down the spine here a little bit, just to give it a little bit of different color. And then right where these intestine parts are, just kind of touch that a little bit and give it a little different color feel to it. And then over the head, and really just make sure that I don't work it in too hard where I have it pool or anything like that. Just around the base of the skull, just kind of add this crimson kind of look to it. It just kind of sets it differently, and when that dries, I'll show you exactly what it does and how we're going to make some adjustments from that point. So the next thing I wanted to do was get some lead belcher onto the guns, just giving them a metallic look. And then I'm going to take my biters, and well, we got to dress up their mouth a little bit, because after all, they are biters. And we are going to use a little Empress Children. And all we're going to do is just take just a dab of it and right on that tongue area. That's all we want to do. It just brings a little bit life into that, and breaks up the colors a little bit. And I like that. So I'm going to do that to the rest of these, and then we'll come back. Now we're going to take some Newell oil, and we're going to go over the metallics. Exactly. And all I want to do with this is basically get it on the metallics. And that's going to help bring out some of the detail of the metal. It's going to darken it up, but we're going to lighten it up. So it's not going to be a big deal. And you don't need a lot of this. I kind of pulled it up there a little bit on a bigger brush, but that's okay, because I'm going to just take it and use a little bit off this to really bring out the detail. Because what you want to do is really, I mean, these guns are done beautifully on these creatures, and what they're going to do, what this is going to do, is really get in those recesses and bring out some detail. So I'm going to do all these, and then we'll come back. Next thing I want to do is take a little bit of Baylor Brown, just a ever so much of a touch, and I think it just kind of brings out everything that we darkened up a little bit here, there, just by taking our, as you can see, I'm just going to really rub this in here. And all it's going to do is I'm going to take our, as you can see, the bases are just a beautiful mess. But we're going to be doing those bases. But I just want to just go over some of the higher points and just have some of that musculature stick out just a hair. And just go over the chest a little bit. I want to be careful. I don't want to hit any of that metal, gun metal yet. Alright, and just kind of just really just kind of just down the center of that spine, so it gives that weird off color that I'm looking for. Really just want to make these guys as creepy as humanly possible. Again, just ever so lightly. I don't need a lot on my brush. I just want to have enough to just kind of highlight right where the muscles are. Any dark spots, just highlight the high points. That's all I'm trying to do here. And by doing that, I'm just getting this really creepy, you know, this thing is just a creepy whatever the heck it is. Whatever planet they land on, that's all we're trying to do. Alright, I'm going to finish these up, and then we'll show you what's next. Next, it's breaking out the old Necron compound. And all we want to do is really just make these weapons look sharp. Because that's really going to do a lot for these guys. And all I want to do is just kind of just touch up over a little bit. Nothing too crazy. I don't want to lose any of the depth I created. And I'm just hitting it so it looks very metallic. And that's all I want to do. Whoops, come here, fella. Again, just going over and just very lightly over the top, in between here. And you're not hitting this too hard, you're just touching it ever so lightly, just so you just hit the top part, and you're not taking any of that detail out of the recesses, but you're putting that nice metallic look in there. See how that all just sits up? It just all sits up if you just do it light enough. And it doesn't take all that long. Not for these guys. Nope. Just boom, boom, boom. If you need a little bit more, or you need to take a little bit off, you can. Just come over and then again just hit it ever so lightly. And these are so easy to do. The hard part is tomorrow when we cover the monsters. When we cover the big bosses and all the figures. That is going to take a little time, but that's alright. Doing all these minions, that's the fun part. Easy. Easy peasy. Hardest part is basing them. Well, we'll show you how to do that too. Again, just all you want to do is just pull all that mechanical stuff out. That's all we're trying to do. Alright, we'll be back when we're done. Now while I got all these guys kind of drying and getting ready to base them and everything like that, I want to start on the monsters. And the one thing I want to do is I want to take some Crimson Kersberg. Now this is just a shade, okay? You want to shake it up really good because this is going to give you that disgusting monster look. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my creature here, and I'm just going to work that wash all the way in here. Alright, this is going to be my base coat. So these are just primed white. And all I want to do is get this in here really good, because it's going to give that disgusting flesh that we want, and then we can build out from there. And that's a really quick way to do it. I mean, you could do it, you could do it a reverse way, where if you want that gray tone in there, you can just dry brush this entire creature kind of gray and then put this wash over it. I like to do it this way because it really gets into the crevices there, or recesses, excuse me, and really does a nice job. And what this really does for me is makes it a lot easier to do. And I'm going to show you another creature that I've done with this very quickly, if I can find him, of course, because I put him off to the side. And as you can see, that's all I want. Alright, it looks kind of pinkish. That's alright. It's a basis into which I'm going to build outwards with. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with the big fella over there. So I'm going to finish these up, and then we'll come back and we'll show you how we kind of build around these. Now at the same time, I'm also working on some of the heroes, and one of the things that you want to do is, what I did is I took a silver spray paint of Vallejo's gunmetal, and I sprayed a majority of the armor guys. I just undercoated them. That way I can build outwards and then just put a wash over them. This particular dude, he's bare-chested, so most of them is silver. He's got a big gun, he's got the bullets around him, he's got silver boots. He's got a little gray that we'll put in there, and a couple other things that we'll take away. We'll drown out, but it was just easier to go over and go to silver and then put a Kesla flesh right over the silver, which went on pretty good. You know, we're gonna water down a little bit more and put another coat on, and I'll show you as we keep going here. I kind of want to show the base here. All I did was take a basilicum gray contrast paint and just go over, and as you can see, I got good depth is what I want, and coverage, and just something really easy. I don't want to get overly complicated with these villains, but I do want to make sure that they look good once they hit the table. The most important thing is if you're going to use an undercoat that's white, make sure that you get every inch, because if you miss one little spot, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb, and you'll see it. And you got to go over this a little bit here and there after you put a cover on, because sometimes the contrast tends to fight the primer a bit and kind of do that oil and water thing where it'll kind of just separate, like right there. I'm going to paint that again. And then underneath the knee here, I see a little bit, and it'll stick out. Afterwards, it will stick out, and you don't want that to happen. So there you go. Another monster where we got kind of a base coat on and ready for highlights. So I finally got everything based, and it looks like we're going to be ready to go with Project Elite. This will probably be a two-part series. We'll show you how to do the heroes and the monsters later. And as you can see, everything's just ready to go. And let's take it up top and get on out of here. So there you have it. Everything pretty much done. I didn't show you how to paint everything. We'll do another part, and I'll show you all the bosses and how to paint the figures. Really pretty easy, to be honest with you. This was quick. It was fun, and it didn't hurt my hand too much, which is good. So next time we see Project Elite, it'll be on the table being played. So I look forward to spending time with you and doing that. I hope this helps you with the main core of the stuff. Part 2 probably be about a week or so. I'll get it all edited up, and you can see how to paint your heroes and the bosses just in time for it to come out. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you soon. Keep painting.